definitely pro-China, as pro-China as it gets.
As pro-China as it gets. First of all,
I wonder how he feels.
You're not. But to say that is fucked up.
Yeah.
Considering the genocide and all.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess he supports the genocide of the Tibetans.
Oh,
he
tries to say he's gonna you bring it up. He whataboutisms into like, slavery in America.
Yeah, of course he would, right? That's their go-to always for Wu Miaos. That's what they always do.
This is the U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
CIA Harris at it again. Oh, shit. The U.S. military is planning for a war with China. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Here we go again, dude. You know, listen. Johnny Harris had to do one good video so he could do like 10 ones where he's like,
let's invade
Taiwan. Here's why Taiwan needs to be defended with military force and perhaps nuclear.
Where was Johnny Harris's good video? I want to know what which one do you think that was that he's referring to?
Yeah, I reckon it's probably the CIA invaded a bunch of stuff.
No, because he was upset about that one because Harris is including only stuff that's in the Freedom of Information Act request, and not the ones that Hasan believes in. So that's why.
Right. Because it's not the ones that he thinks are actual.
It was probably something to do with the indigenous genocide era because he's been trying to copy knowing better and doing a worse job at it.
Brazil socialist people call North Korea as Popular Korea or People's Korea. I don't know the real translate. Sorry.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that.
Like, I'm going to start calling it Popular Korea.
Yeah.
Like the majority of people
I have no idea.
Watched our North Korea video were Brazilian. Like all the top comments are from Brazil. I don't know what the whole North Korea Brazil solidarity thing.
I do like that they whitewashed the whole starving their own people in that video. It's great.
There's a small volcanic island off the southern coast of Japan.
Yeah, he is so good at editing. You always got to hate.
They're stock elements, dog.
There would be tension without the U.S., though? No, there wouldn't. What? No, there wouldn't.
It's like a retard echo chamber.
Like China and who would have tension without the U.S.? Imagine no U.S. involvement in that region.
Shall we list them off?
Bro, there's already tension.
Shall we list them all
What about the Pakistan border? What about the India border? What about the Vietnam border? What about the Russian border? What about the Japanese border?
South Korea is probably in there as well. I'm sure Afghanistan has issues with them. I'm sure most of the Central Asian countries have issues with them. Okay. Although they're probably giving them enough money through the Belt and Road Initiative to maybe shut them up. But pretty much everyone. Oh, and Tibet.
Bro, remember when Chinese soldiers beat to death a bunch of Indian soldiers with rebar clubs and then threw them off a mountain to cover it up? And then photos came out of it actually happening, and it came out. And then it was during the Trump admin, and they sent Jared there, and Jared somehow resolved it.
Don't know how.
We need to send a top negotiator with impeccable qualifications.
I've got just the family member.
Oh, no, not Jared. Anyone with Jared.
Send in Jared. J-Man! Jared, get in there. Use your charm and personality. That electricity we all feel when you explode into the room. Whoa! Calm down. Save that passion for the Himalumo hillbillies.
What? You think the Filipinos are going to rise up against the Chinese or something? Like, what do you think is going to happen?
No, that's why they asked America.
Japan? Really? Okay. Like,
Japan did it before.
Current day Japan? No, we're not talking about India, okay? We're talking about that part of the world. China is massive.
Japan has the 4th biggest military in the world. You think Japan's not going to put up a fight? How much of an idiot are you?
So obviously, there's tension on all sides. But even then, even with India.
But this year's is more detailed than normal. The document focuses a lot on China.
If China threatens our sovereignty,
it's so funny because the Republicans are like, Beijing Biden! Beijing Biden! He's bought by China. Thank God. Joe Biden came in to fix this. Can you imagine? Like, the very first thing he did was being like telling China to fuck off on our microchips.
Yeah, pretty much.
And like that was before he fucked up the withdrawal in Afghanistan, right? The first thing
it was pretty much immediately.
It was yeah. So even before the botched withdrawal, he had manufacturing being copied into the United States that's going to level Taiwan's, right? So he started the microchip shit day one. It was a day one sign executive order. So remember how Trump said, like, everyone cheered for it because he was like, listen, motherfucker. You remember that bit?
Yeah.
Joe Biden didn't even need to say anything. He just signed a piece of paper and like hit them so much harder than Trump.
With China. The DoD says that China, quote, remains our most consequential strategic competitor for coming decades. Why? Because, the Pentagon says, China is bullying its neighbors to, quote, reshape the region and the international system to fit its authoritarian
Why is that
preferences.
funny, Hasan?
Now, remember, the United States, who spends loads on its military, has set
they just hate democracy.
That's what fuck. I was thinking, like, what is China trying to do? Oh, they're trying to stop the Indian democratic process from taking root.
For
yeah, they hate that. Dude, fuck it. Japan. The democratic process in Japan, like a functionally one-party state that America designed, okay? Like, it's always funny to think about these countries. Like, I love Japan. You guys know this is not a fucking, it's not a meme. But let's be real. Like, these are all client states with an effectively one-party form of governance that you would never consider a democracy by, like, Western standards. You know what I mean?
What's the freedom index on those countries, my dude?
Freedom index.
Like, isn't Japan like one of the most like democratic?
Let's have a look. Japan is 96 of 100. So the Philippines is 55, which is not great.
Here's a Chinese source.
Surprising.
Here's a China loyalist source. Looks pretty democratic around China, doesn't it?
So what, flawed democracies? Yeah, flawed democracies. But notice how China is.
These are probably authoritarian. I think, Vietnam is
light authoritarian.
Myanmar is in a war, so.
Yeah.
This is like the most concentrated cluster of democracies outside of Europe.
And I guarantee it probably has a lot to do with Australia as well. Australia would be a hub for democratic projection. To assert that China is somehow better in that area than America is absurd when we've seen what China.
You think he's seen it? With Finland, they weren't concerned until Ukraine got invaded.
Yes.
So those other countries will become a lot more concerned if Taiwan gets invaded.
Yeah, but also I think the US is ready to jump in. Well, at least they're training Japan and the Philippines.
Even if you have some type of invasion, just look at what it did to how Europe came and started backing NATO. Any type of big military action by China is going to unify everyone in the region.
Yeah.
Military footprint growing because they're growing and have a defensive posture against who? Against American clients.
Defensive.
Did he just call China defensive?
China is growing a defensive military power. Did you know that? That's not something that exists.
No.
The only thing that's defensive is missile systems.
Yes. Yeah.
United States and the American Navy that's there. Okay? Thousands of miles away from the US coastline. What the fuck?
Wait, there aren't any big American cities in China? I thought there was like some melch. Where's Denver?
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, it might as well be China. It might as well be in China. It's close. 881 bases on the planet.
Also, China is the one invading other people's airspace and stealing other people's islands and stuff. These other countries aren't doing shit to China.
No, they're literally telling China to fuck off, and China's like, nah. And then they're like, hey, America, do your thing, please.
So to think that it's like America is the one being aggressive and China is just defending itself, right?
how China is coercing its neighbors, disregarding ocean boundaries, testing missiles, bullying fishing vessels in other countries.
Like,
why is that funny?
This entire video is only we get to do that, and not even in our backyard, which we already did that.
Neighbors.
But other people's backyards, we get to do that in, and you can't do that.
Countries' waters, building islands and military bases on those islands.
China's building
and flying
islands?
over other.
Where specifically, Hasan?
Now it would be a very interesting point if America was coercing Canada and Mexico, but that's not happening, is it?
Yeah, but
in fact, Mexico's like, "Hey, America, fuck off."
Like the best example I could give is Syria.
Elaborate.
Just as far as America and incursioning on people where they're not wanted.
Right. Just their troop presence there. What is it, like 6,000 troops or something?
Yeah. Well, also, like, we'll do bombing missions there, too. Like, we'll bomb Iranian targets inside Syria.
Yeah.
That's a different thing if you're talking about where we have bombs being dropped and where we're making offensive, not defensive, offensive operations.
Yeah. Didn't Russia just bomb Idlib?
Oh, Russia bombs Idlib every day. When they say bombs, it's like artillery and stuff. But it's shells. It gets shelled constantly. Nobody cares about most of the places America bombs too. So if we're going to use the defense of America being asked to be there, Russia's asked to be there.
Yeah.
So any attack that they do on inside Syria is more justified than any attack America does under just the broad international law. If you put morality into it, it becomes a lot different. But
yeah.
And where the globe
Also
gets
that we
nearly
claim
all of
is
their advanced
China's.
microchips, which is a topic I made an entire.
Okay, to be fair, yeah, as Alexa also pointed out, it's not just China that claims that it is Chinese. It's the United States of America that also has maintained that same position.
I wonder why we have the one China policy.
It couldn't possibly be to de-escalate situation and sort of keep a diplomatic reason.
And maintain the global economy so, countries in Africa don't collapse.
It couldn't possibly be that.
It's not like with our the micronations and protectorates. They're not like, actually, let's check real quick. Who recognizes Taiwan? So
yeah, I do know that one.
Eswatini, Guatemala, Haiti, the Vatican, Marshall Islands, America, Nauru, Palau, definitely
Nauru,
America.
Yeah. Nauru is in Australia, or it's near Australia.
Paraguay, St. Kitts, and I don't know what these are all like city-states, but 2 of those countries are also America, even though they're sovereign countries.
Yeah.
Since motherfucking Nixon, which is a position that they have routinely lied about. And it's not just me saying this, like, this is very clearly the American foreign policy, the very clear American.
If you know they're lying, then what was your point to bring it up to begin with as like it's an argument in defense?
Yeah, because there is no argument, right?
Foreign policy has always been, it's China. It has some level of autonomy from China, but they call
some level of autonomy.
Call it China. Strategic ambiguity, where they were not supposed to. From its inception as an anti-communist military dictatorship that was like completely psychotic, all the way to the modern democratic process that you see in Taiwan.
I mean, I would argue that what China's done during the time before Taiwan became one of the best democracies that we can see on the planet.
That's a good point right there, is compare them. Look at what China has done. Look at what Taiwan has done. We want to see,
and then look at what they're continuing to
poverty, huh?
And look at what they continue to do. China is still committing genocide. They're still shitting on the Taiwanese. The Tibetans. They're starting multiple border conflicts. They're debt trapping all of Africa. Like, it's fucking wild. And then what's Taiwan doing? Minding its own business, making microchips, and being the most functional democracy in the world. There is no comparison.
When are countries founded by a based person?
Yes.
You would probably be like, yeah, winning.
It quite literally is, Taiwan is still China. It just has like a different system.
How are all those democracy protesters in Hong Kong doing?
It's like 50% of the vote in Taiwan often goes to the like legacy KMT guys who still think they're China.
Yeah,
you know, like especially the bigger and stronger China gets, it like tickles these old nationalists.
Yeah.
Out of 75% voter turnout, almost 60% voted for the current party, which is not the KMT, which is the Democratic Progressive Party. They got almost 60% of the vote. So no, you're wrong. That's significant. But yeah, they got and the KMT got 38% of the vote, so it wasn't even the remaining vote. They literally got 40%, less than 40%.
You can't recognize a progressive party as being left wing because they don't because they're not communist.
China are in absolutely no rush to annex Taiwan or whatever. Is the U.S. who wants to provoke a conflict in the hope that they can somehow ruin the Chinese economy before it totally surpasses the American economy?
It's already
what
over.
What do you mean ruin the Chinese economy? The Chinese economy is linked to the global economy. We can't ruin the Chinese economy. That's what Trump didn't understand. You cannot ruin the Chinese economy. The Chinese economy must be maintained.
Anyway, let's
our responsibilities under the Taiwan Relations Act, including making sure that Taiwan has the ability to defend itself. On Taiwan.
Anyway. But this was shocking for a lot of people who have just like, who don't know anything about American-Chinese relations or like America's foreign policy on China, but instead have just been like paying attention to how bad China is. So they're like genuinely shocked when they heard this. They were like, what? I can't believe Blinken reiterated like long-standing foreign policy with China like this. What the fuck?
Our video about. The point is, Taiwan is an incredibly important island for the.
You mean on Twitter?
Yes, on Twitter.
I don't give a fuck because Twitter's not a real place.
We cannot delay. They give themselves this 10-year window to.
I gotta start highlighting stuff in my videos more.
And this is what it looks like. Okay, first things first. The U.S. military is already very present in Asia.
Brainworms, bro. We haven't covered this whole time, so you forget he's there. I like that he highlights stuff. Remember how I got mad about how he made an entire video about who profited off of Afghanistan? It was just him highlighting paper the whole time.
Yes.
8,000 troops in Guam. We've got over 100 bases.
Wait, what is this? By making a stance and say that we can stand with Taiwan, we make sure that they stay democratic. China won't ever attack Taiwan, so this is good. Okay, you lost me there. Anytime you fucking claim that America is like legitimately defending democracy, it's over. Okay.
Technically, in Taiwan, they would be defending democracy, but they defend the global order. I don't like. Who believes that America defends democracy? We're talking specifically Ukraine. Ukraine, yes. Taiwan, yes. Hungary, no. India, no. Turkey, no. All these places that we already established are democracies. We're certainly not being like, hey, Turkey, you cannot abolish your own Supreme Court like that. I don't know exactly what he did with the courts, but I mean, look at Israel. Israel, like, this was still with Netanyahu and all this shit. Mm-hmm. Saudi Arabia gets arms from the U.S.
Yeah, it's never been about democracy, and it's only like the socialist dipshit brainworm types that really think this.
America does not give a single shred of a fuck about the democratic.
If Taiwan wasn't democratic, we wouldn't care about its democracy.
No, they do not. They fear multipolarity. That's it. That's literally it. Because it's not like China is going to become the.
They always talk about this fucking multipolar bullshit. If we look up how much the Chinese yuan is used in foreign exchange, it's negligible. It's less than Bitcoin.
Also, why does it mean to? Why is it only like we're looking at the world not being multipolar because of the economy? The world is multipolar.
Yeah, it's just America is the I guess the so-called protector of peace, if you want to call it that, which I wouldn't agree, but yeah,
It's
that's
technically
kind of,
supposed to be what the UN does.
yeah, the UN is useless, but
Force.
like it,
Well, again,
there are,
again, before the UN was established, there was a lot more war
yeah,
than there is now.
but like Japan would be the
it's just
global
useless
power
because
in
we live
culture,
in our own
right?
pond, right?
Yeah, the cultural hegemon of the world, I would argue. America is the economic hegemon.
Oh, America culture has a lot too, just because, like if you
Just
play
because of
Civ,
Hollywood.
America is really easy to get a cultural victory with because you can use Hollywood.
That's pretty funny.
Yes.
I like you, I really do, but it's not good to actually be for their independence. I don't agree with the U.S., but by talking like this, you make it seem like you are pro-China. First of all,
Yeah.
I am pro-China.
Oh, you fucking idiot. You are the dumbest fucking person I've ever listened to.
You must have known you were wrong when your fingers were dipped inside me.
China. Okay, so make no mistake on that front. I am pro-China. I do not mind multipolarity. I do not fear.
Bro, it's nobody is afraid of multipolarity. Even the United States, like when asked about Iran and Saudi Arabia relationships, the United States response is like, "Good, I hope it works out, and we can get the fuck out of that region."
Multipolarity. So on that front, I am definitely pro-China, as pro-China as it gets.
As pro-China as it gets. First of all,
I wonder how he feels.
You're not. But to say that is fucked up.
Yeah.
Considering the genocide and all.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess he supports the genocide of the Tibetans.
Oh,
he
tries to say he's gonna want to bring it up. He whataboutisms into like, slavery in America.
Yeah, of course he would, right? That's their go-to always for Wu Miaos. That's what they always do.
This is why I draw a line at like, the genocide convention. You can't count genocides before we said, hey, genocide is wrong. Like when the modern idea of slavery was seen as wrong, America continued doing it. I mean, they founded on knowing that slavery was wrong and still preserved it. But like, you look at certain countries like Mauritania only outlawed it 50 years ago. There's certain countries that need to get with the program that genocide is just not something to be tolerated anymore.
I wonder
because we live in a multipolar world, nobody can stop China from doing genocide because the world is multipolar.
Yeah.
It's not owned by the fucking United States of America.
That's actually such a good point.
I look at China right now with Xi in power, and I'm like, damn, China's losing its democracy. Even though they didn't have one before, but it's the same.
They never had one.
To me, because I was like, wow, China had so much going for it, and now Xi is ruining it. I feel the same way.
Geez, your foreign policy take is so bad. This is like the Crimea stuff in Hong Kong. You can't be a social. I know Hong Kong is famously on fire.
Yeah.
What an asshole. How do you think Hong Kong people feel? I had to shave my mustache. It was bothering me. How do you think the people of Tibet feel about hearing things like that?
I bet they love it.
Oh, he doesn't care because the Dalai Lama is a pedophile to him.
Of course.
Because he's a religious leader, and what religious leader isn't?
I always check in with Hong Kong to see how bad things are in Hong Kong.
Awful. They're bad. Things are bad in Hong Kong.
I wonder why things are bad in Hong Kong.
It was bad in Hong Kong before China got there because of the national security law. Like that was the beginning of the end. Let's go see how Apple Daily is doing over there.
The only difference and the only thing that I do criticize China on is their lack of their lack of interest in social libertarianism, for sure. I think that I am significantly more pro civil liberties and pro freedom of speech than the Chinese government is. And I don't even make...
That is not a high bar.
How much more?
Not much.
The same kinds
That's possibly
of,
the lowest
possible
bar.
I don't even make the same kind of excuse that I would make for Cuba, an island that has been constantly under war for their lack of interest in like free speech. That is absolutely.
Does anyone not criticize the Bay of Pigs? Is anyone a Bay of Pigs defender out there?
I don't think so.
Oh, wow, crazy.
That is absolutely something that I am very critical on with respect to China. But Hasan being shocked that the normies in the chat really don't fuck with his foreign policy takes. No, I'm not shocked at that at all. This is like a big part of what differentiates me from a lot of other, I would say, left-leaning,
probably people who know something
creators.
about it.
What differentiates me is I support fascism.
In the United States of America. That's why they always say Hasan is so American-centric. Hong Kong is no longer a democracy because of China.
It was so democratic.
Yeah.
Fuck, and then
I mean, they were, and even with China electing candidates into it to like wear away its democracy. Yeah, it was.
You can't consider China here to be a harmless victim. Tibet happened. I mean, 1962.
Hell yeah. And look at him immediately shrug it off.
Yep.
Also, if you're surrounded by American client states, you do have an interest in how they turn out.
They're Chinese client states too. Would you believe it?
Funny that it's almost like it's multipolar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've said this a lot about regional powers. They're not superpowers, but regional powers always want to maintain a level of control in surrounding regions. And obviously, the only way you can do that is if you are America's lapdog, like Turkey, for example. Look at what the fuck Turkey's doing.
Yes. America's lapdog, Turkey, who is totally eroding the coalition that America is using to stop Daesh. America's lapdog, Turkey, who helped fund Daesh. America's lapdog, Turkey, who gave rifles and orchestrated a prison break with Daesh. Yes, definitely their lapdog. It's Turkey for sure. They definitely didn't kick them out of the F-35 program. He's definitely not known for being like somebody we have to appease because he might go to Russia. He's definitely not the wild card. He is totally loyal to America. Yeah, bro. Turkey expert. Because he's from there. He has to be an expert.
If you guys behave, we wouldn't have to come to this. Well, if this is true, today, the world will not have democracy. The world will not have freedom. We have freedom today and democracy because our ancestors has been fighting for it. Many people died for it. Much blood was shed for it. It can't stop just here. Well, I'm not going to think about this. I'm not going to think about things that scares me. I'm staying here. I'm staying here till the end. If we go down together. We burn together. That's my promise to my people.
Yeah, that's the head of Apple Daily.
That's based as fuck. What a legend.
Mm-hmm.
Did he die?
No, but I think he's basically in, Chinese lockdown. They invented the national security law to target him specifically.
No shit. Fucking hell. He must have been doing a lot.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Hasan supports that.
It has been the status quo in Asia for decades, and it has been the way that the US has ensured security for its allies, and it's kind of mostly worked to help secure American interests and deter conflict. The US has maintained strong alliances in this region, and frankly, the Pentagon has kind of been distracted with...
Yeah, look at all the saber rattling China's doing. Did you see that?
But it's also funny, like, ensuring their security. It's like they must be taken over by America to make sure they're safe from being taken over by someone else.
How have they been taken over by America, you
I think
fucking
the American
idiot?
foreign policy position is literally considering the Philippines as like...
What were the numbers that Johnny Harris said? 20,000 soldiers in Korea and 26 in Okinawa? I bet you there are a couple thousand in the Philippines, and they're mostly special forces. I didn't know America was that proficient at taking over countries that they've not only taken over Japan from Okinawa, but also South Korea with less than 25,000 soldiers each.
So this article is a month old. UN expresses grave concern over detention of Jimmy Lai in Hong Kong. So, not good. Not good. It hasn't been great for him.
Supported by Hasan.
Mm-hmm. And what did Hong Kong have? They did democracy. Yeah, whatever.
Some democracy.
It's not a democracy if China can take it over instantly. It's not a democracy if you've put blood, sweat, and tears into it. It's only a democracy if you can defend yourself against China.
Mm-hmm.
And as China militarizes, the Department of Defense says that this status quo, all of these troops in Asia, it's not enough. They talk about this new kind of deterrence, integrated deterrence, the only kind of military posture that will actually keep China at bay. And this is what it looks like. The smallest part of the strategy has to do with American bases. They're going to reopen a base in Guam and move some troops there. But the majority of this strategy has to do with American allies in Asia. Allies that are in lockstep with
one.
Pentagon calls partnering with its allies the center of gravity for this strategy.
Yeah.
So let's start with Japan, one of the U.S.'s
partnerships with allies.
Japan is a country that is deeply concerned about a more powerful China, with its massive navy and its ambitions to control Taiwan. And it's very easy to forget.
Why does Japan care about Taiwan?
What do you mean, dude?
Like,
holy shit!
Taiwan.
Did he really say that? All right, pause it.
I mean, why would any country care that a neighbor country got invaded? Why would anyone care about that? It's certainly like nobody cared when Iraq got invaded, you know?
Okay. Alrighty. So, this is Taiwan. That is Japan. I wonder why they care. Look, it's maybe half the distance from Taiwan to China.
To me,
Japan.
This looks like Taiwan belongs more to Japan than China.
Well, Taiwan was owned by Japan for a hot minute, but Japan doesn't just end at Okinawa, right? Right here. All of this is Japan. So, man, I can't imagine why Japan cares about Taiwan. It's almost like their land is also in firing range of China, and if they take Taiwan, Japanese territory is there, just like the islands at the north of Japan that they're fighting with Russia over. This is not unique to Japan. They fight over their islands all the fucking time. Like, how unbelievably ignorant of geopolitics do you have to be to have a take like that? That is fucking insane.
Well, he went to North Korea.
Oh, so he must know everything.
The undemocratic Chinese rule. They were really critical of like the original Taiwan governance when it was just like a genocidal military dictatorship. They were like, Taiwan, why are you doing this? Come on,
we have
guys.
to contain you, Taiwan. Or
yeah,
else
that's what they kept saying. Same with South Korea, as a matter of fact. When South Korea also was a genocidal military and then changed its structure of governance from that to
which is awesome. If a country can go from basically fascist to being like an amazing democracy, that's awesome, Hasan. That's like an accomplishment.
Yeah, right? It's something to be heralded.
Yes. Getting rid of fascism is good. Why are you criticizing it?
Because he is a fascist. He supports
You're
China.
missing it. But Bologna didn't miss it. She understands it perfectly.
Bologna!
Watch.
Do we praise Saudi Arabia right now when they do stuff?
I don't think so.
Oh, but we'll say like our staunch allies and stuff when we're talking about Saudis, who, you know, what these people would call democracy when it's not ever been about Saudi Arabia's democracy.
He calls the Chinese claim is actually a claim that Taiwan also advances Lamau. Where is the
closest ally?
Well, they also there's a funny little trick that maybe me as a Turkish person I'm a little bit more aware of that Western forces always utilize. They'll constantly say, you know, Taiwanese airspace, and you know, China is flying on.
Yeah, Turkey invades a lot of people's airspaces, like China does. Do you think America is the one who's Turkey in this situation, Hasan?
Japanese and Taiwanese airspace. And if you don't really pay attention to the map, you will look at that and go, oh, wow, that's really fucked up that they're flying in Taiwanese airspace, until you fucking realize that it's literally the border. It's the fucking landmass. The Chinese landmass where it ends and the water begins is basically fucking not Chinese airspace, according to.
Hello, Hasan. You're a fucking idiot. No, it is not. You dickhead. Also, what they do is they fly from here down here to make sure Taiwan launches their fighters. They don't fly over the island because they will get shot down, but they fly around it outside their territorial waters. Also, if we notice here, look at where Japan is. Oh my god, I can't believe that Japan is so close.
This is a airspace intersections, right? If they're both claiming the same airspace here, you think there's going to be problems?
So this is their incursion. So they'll fly in, set off the alarms, fly out. This is what they've been doing for years. Literal years before anybody cared. Right? Not only that, but international airspace is being breached by, well, not breached, but international airspace is having the Chinese bully others in that airspace because they think that it's theirs when it's not. It's international airspace. But because China is China, they're like, it's ours. This is the problem. What a dumb fucking point.
I don't know if this is where it ends. I think it does. I think Taiwanese airspace technically is Chinese landmass too.
And the Taiwanese
no, it
breathe a lot.
They're
sucking in all that air from mainland China.
Where it goes on China, they try to say that this is what's happening up here, but this is air identification zone, right? So that means if planes are in this area, they just have to identify that they're aircraft, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now
but
that is bigger
is that
around everyone's thing, where you're because there's shared airspace and you need to be identifying for your own safety, right?
Yes, yes.
This line that cuts through is the line that Taiwan is recognizing, and they're showing this is what the hooks look like. This is what the incursions look like here, right? And then you have these boxes where it's military exercises all around Taiwan. Are we going to say that all the way out here and out here
is Chinese waters? Also, that incurs that pushes into Japanese economic exclusive zones. So, man, bringing it back to why Japan cares, couldn't imagine why.
This one is fine. This military exercise is fine right here. I'd even say these over here, these are fine too.
Air defense identification zones in East Asia.
Yes.
Also, the blue square is Taiwan.
Yeah.
Identification zones.
What do you mean? There's nothing wrong with that.
I already
it's
pulled
like
up.
they deserve that land. I'm sorry. So is
God.
there not enough China for you that like they can't take some of it? Give some of China
Korea
to Taiwan. It's a big country.
South Korea as well, huh?
Anyway,
is that how it works? And then also, does that mean China like Japanese planes? But does that mean that China has to that's China's airspace over Japan? No.
What's crazy is he does it through sheer will because there's people in his chat the entire time calling him an idiot. Because whenever I watch his stream, it's just him yelling at his own chat, calling them stupid because they're saying something. And all his streams are is him eating or him yelling at his chat.
Pentagon released. They're both really freaked out about China, and they both are ready to act in lockstep to deter a more aggressive China. These are missiles that are definitely in range of the Taiwan Strait. Next in the chain is Okinawa.
When you talk about the Chinese and Japanese relations, maybe China could be worse. I don't know. I don't know if they got revenge on the mind, for example.
And if they were, you would support them.
But not modern China, at least.
To disrupt and deny communication signals. On these two islands down here, they're adding even more long-range missiles, which could potentially be used to attack Chinese naval ships and aircraft. And Japan is placing...
Guys, this is for defense.
Yes, it is.
Posturing. It's classic.
Placing nearly 600 troops on Ishigaki as well. And finally, you've got this last militarized island in the chain, Yonaguni. It's the closest island to Taiwan. And here, Japan is adding more of those electronic warfare.
By the way, if by some magic, okay, not saying that this is happening, not saying that this could ever happen, if by some change of heart, that the entirety of the Taiwanese population was like, actually, we're Chinese. What the fuck are we talking about? Let's just openly be pro-China. If you think those missile bases would not be turned on Taiwan, which would now be like fully openly
authoritarian,
that's
openly
such an
authoritarian and
prospect.
Chinese, you're out of your fucking mind. Okay?
No, you are out of your fucking mind. One, the pro-China stance has been dropping consistently for years. That will never happen. And as China gets worse and threatens them more, it will only drop further until it is 0%. They are shooting themselves in the foot if China ever wants to actually reunify the Taiwan, which was never a part of China, by the way.
This is why I say, like, can you imagine if they've just been nice?
Yeah.
And like I say this about the Taliban, right? If we were just going to leave the Taliban in power, why weren't we negotiating with them from the beginning?
Yeah.
Right? Imagine where Vietnam would be if we didn't back up the French there.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's fake news. I saw some article maybe like a year ago that China was planning to build the world's longest like underwater railway, connecting mainland to Taiwan.
Can't do that.
Sounds like you're reading some dumb shit, my guy.
Escalation. We are literally aiming our guns at them.
Yeah, dude. That's totally going to happen.
Dude,
Sources,
China
sources,
can't even
make it the fuck up.
China can't even build a
Expensive.
tunnel between a city and a fucking other side
What
of
are you
the city.
talking about? Did you see the monorail that went through a building?
Johnny said, he said it's defensive because China, coincidentally, or not China, sorry, Japan and America have the same fear of China, coincidentally, verbatim.
Crazy.
Verbatim, apparently.
Yeah, it's the Defense Department.
I don't know. It's just so sad.
Yeah,
Seeing like
like when North Korea is doing defensive military testing, like missile testing, they're doing it defensively. Okay. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's a foreign adversary. They're doing it to scare Japan because they're gonna nuke America, and then nuke Japan first, which is like kind of like an extension of Hawaii.
Who's launching missiles over China?
So
right now?
that's why they're doing that.
Literally,
But when
launching
Japan is
missiles
doing
over
it and
North
America's doing
Korea?
it, it's a defensive.
I can tell
nuke.
you who's launching missiles.
The nuke
over
was just
Japan.
defense. Okay, first of all, America literally claims that the atom bombs were defensive because the firebombing campaign was significantly worse for Japan overall
they don't.
than the two atom bombs.
Nobody
If you've
says
never
that.
talked to like an American history nut, I don't know what to tell you, but there is quite literally that is literally the take.
No,
they consider
like
it.
We did something worse, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, they
Don't
have.
most-
I think the American government's take. I mean, we just did the G7 where we went to the memorial for the atom bombing with Japan, not apologizing for it. We laid a wreath down for the people that died there, not apologizing for it.
Don't
right?
they say that they
Think about
regret
that.
doing it, but they're not apologizing for it?
Think about that, though. Putting a wreath down to honor the people that you killed while not apologizing for it. Very rarely do bombs end wars.
Yes. It's one of the only times, I would say.
Bosnia.
Sure.
Bombing Serbia won that war.
Yeah.
But
I
it was
don't know
mainly
enough
it was
about
mainly a war where they were the invader as well.
Yeah.
Like to bomb somebody's own territory and then have them surrender. And like Japan had already technically surrendered at that point. The point is that America should apologize for dropping 2 atom bombs.
Oh, I agree. The problem was the Bushido Code, though. They saw surrender
I've
as
heard this
cowardly.
too. I think there's plenty of arguments in both directions.
There's heaps, yeah. It's very convoluted.
But I don't think anyone has said that it was defensive, other than the thing that you said,
No.
where it would prevent American lives dying from Marines.
Which is
Or
also
did he
not
say that?
defensive. No, I said that.
Genuinely and openly explained that like the atom bomb.
Also, all bombing missions are to prevent soldiers' lives on the ground from being lost. Crazy.
So this is the first part of our chain. And when paired with training that Japan and US troops are doing to simulate island and amphibious warfare, it sends a really strong signal to China that Japan is ready to respond if needed. This line also serves as like a physical
Not as an
barrier that
aggressor.
what's crazy is what really shows it is us picking that helicopter as being the new helicopter.
The Osprey.
Yeah, because
Why?
because specifically because of its range compared to the other helicopters.
Right.
It extends the range in island combat double any other helicopter, even though that other helicopters would need like less logistics and easier to land in different places. The main reason they're taking it is naval defense.
And it also builds a wall of missiles. Any calculus that China is making.
Dude, look at all of these cool little missile systems that just happen to surround China. Like, look at that.
It's cool that this chain of island just somehow belongs to like an ex-colonial power that expanded all across Asia. Like all these natural parts of Japan are just like coming all the way down to China.
Yeah, and also then the rest of it is like it's like
to Taiwan, you dickhead. And they were Japanese before the war.
Surely this is just simply for defensive posturing.
On whether or not to invade Taiwan or to do anything in the region, we'll have to now factor in this wall of missiles ready to roll. Overall, this increased military presence on this chain of islands gives Japan, and by extension the United States, the ability to monitor communications and troop movements of China. So Japan, which is formerly a pacifist nation, without
famously.
No. It is though. On paper, it is. It's a pacifist nation.
Has been for a long time.
It's not
since
something
their
that
fascist since their fascist shit.
And it's not something they chose either to be. They're a pacifist nation by force.
It's kind of funny.
The famously pacifist nation of Japan.
Where did they?
It is.
What? No way, dude. Come on. Okay, look. God damn. I love.
You must be talking about pacifists.
I love Japan.
Policy.
I don't love Japan that much to just be like, famously pacifist. They mean after World War II.
Wait, they weren't involved in the war on terror, or they invaded Korea with the Americans. No,
they did not.
They chilling the whole time.
I actually don't know Japanese.
There's Japanese people that fought ISIS.
But Japan did not.
There's private people that are there's operators from Japan that operate in the region.
But involvement. Japan is strictly not allowed to send military. Like that's been a thing since World War II.
And the only reason that they were there is because ISIS kidnapped and beheaded 2 Japanese journalists. Because actually they wanted Shinzo Abe to immediately take military action. People were calling for Japan to immediately militarize against ISIS when this happened. Kind of a big deal for Japan.
Yeah.
Oh, he said, no, we're going to be a pacifist country. And he got his back blown out by a gun.
Is actually planning to double their defense spending. They're spending way more on buying weapons than they ever have before. And 97% of those weapons are coming from the United States. The island strategy.
Where else are they going to buy the weapons?
It's not even a point. Watch them lose their fucking mind over this.
Strategy continues down here with the Philippines, close to Taiwan and close to the South.
Well, you had to tie that somehow, you know what I mean? And then you have Vietnam right here. You have Vietnam. That's it. No gaps.
The U.S. knows that it needs to bolster its presence here, but it's not as straightforward as it is in Japan.
Yeah,
the Philippines was a U.S. colony for decades. Very sensitive history, and even after Filipino,
he doesn't bring this shit up, dude. Bro, the Philippine War was so bad. It was one of the only times we have seen soldiers in the field start to derelicting and en masse being against what was going on.
Independence, the U.S. maintained a military presence in the Philippines.
This was such a weird era of the United States too, where they were like, well, everyone else is getting colonies in Europe. Why don't we try to be European? And they went and invaded the Philippines for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
And then they eventually kicked out the U.S. as many saw it as just an enduring legacy of U.S. colonialism. But a more aggressive China has become a major threat to the Philippines. Now listen, I'm not going to go into like a full South China Sea thing here, but just know their maritime boundary. It's literally a line with 9 dashes that some Chinese official in 1948 drew by hand on a map. This line blasts through the boundaries that the rest of the world recognizes as the Filipino territorial waters. So there's a conflict in the ocean. And now, on a daily basis, Filipino fishing vessels are harassed by Chinese military vessels who threaten them if they don't leave their waters. In 2022, China put a temporary stop to all fishing in the South China Sea, denying the Philippines' ability to fish in the West Philippine Sea, which is rightfully their waters.
Hasan spreading fascist propaganda takes. America can be bad, but that doesn't make fascists good. Hasan coming out with weird takes. What have I said that's like,
bro?
What did I just say?
What a based comment.
The map that Taiwan also claims is theirs. What have I said so far that's like even remotely fascist?
Everything.
Literally everything.
We're trying to take over the world or something if we're an alien? What?
But it's crazier than that. The Chinese Navy is like full-blown just bullying the Philippines. They like show up with lasers to harass and blind Filipino ships.
Blinding lasers are considered a very serious war crime, by the way.
Navy even close to what China has. So now they're in this impossible decision.
Because you know how quickly we would have advanced into permanently blinding weapons if that shit was fair game?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But China's doing it.
Of course they are, because they don't give a fuck.
Between giving up their sovereignty and fishing rights to their aggressive neighbor, China, or
they're not exclusively
their
trying to
former
permanently blind
colonizer who
people.
also
There's
wants
only the
to
risk
help
of
China.
doing
And
it.
in this case, they chose the latter.
China has pushed too hard. It's pushed the Philippines in the South China Sea, what they call the West Philippine Sea.
The Philippines is planning to.
I mean, no, seriously. After everything that we've pointed out, why would the Philippines be on the side of the United States after everything that has happened there? Is it because
of China?
Is it because they're a U.S. puppet and the U.S. like they literally kicked the Americans out because that was a recognition of colonial powers? Like Johnny Harris gave you enough to make that conclusion yourself.
Well, that would be assuming that he has a brain that functions.
It started in 2014 when they allowed the U.S. back in for the first time in 22 years. The U.S. presence will technically be in bases that are owned by the Philippines, but the U.S. can have troops, build barracks, and other military installations, and can have pre-positioned...
Guess who gets those bases when the U.S. leaves?
The Philippines.
It's like with Australia. They're getting the rights to learn how to build the submarines.
Yes, yes.
Applies there as well. It's basically
that's
like
what we're
the US
paying
has
so much
bases there,
for.
but it's like it's actually the Philippines. And as part of all of this that we've been talking about, in late 2022, they expanded their.
It's like Japan building Vietnam's navy.
More bases, bringing the total number of bases.
Japan isn't going to be like, oh, those are still our ships because we actually built them. It's not happening.
Bases on the Philippines.
It's such an easy conclusion to come to. How could America possibly be back in the Philippines after everything that they've done?
Yeah, literally a non-functioning brain.
Because the Americans control their government and put them there.
What's
up, CIA? Euromaidan with CIA.
Taiwan.
If America didn't surround China, your freedom to stream would be in danger. Mark my words.
What, you mean streaming is over?
What the fuck? Yeah. Australia is turning into America Forward Operating Base too, by the way.
That's actually the worst bit. It actually scares me. Like, as soon as there's a war in Taiwan, we're going to be we're going to be like at war.
Also, the northern part of Australia is fucked.
Yeah, I mean, you're the regional power, guys.
Yeah, there's a
Darwin
reason.
is just filled with
American
all American bases, all American.
No, it's
planes.
not, you dickhead.
Like, free?
Sorry, free.
Weird that you're saying it's fucked when it feels like it's free, and also you have nuclear submarines. So
not yet.
Not yet. Christ. We have submarines already. They're in Perth.
Oh no!
The SAS operates out of
Busted
submarines.
All right.
Singapore. This is a very united front, but it doesn't stop here. The last part of the strategy is potentially the most significant, and it has to do with Australia, a country that is also alarmed by China's
We're so
rise in the
alarmed.
region. So there's this military pact between the US, the UK, and Australia. It's called AUKUS. What it means is that these three countries will work together to create a unified submarine force that will patrol the Pacific.
Thank God.
What it means is that the U.S. is giving nuclear submarine technology, its most powerful and advanced weapon, freely to Australia.
They're about
Dumb
to say
amounts of
some
money
dumb
for a
shit.
submarine.
What do you
Oh,
mean?
I know.
No,
It's
it's free. Johnny Harris said it's free, so
What?
he's
Wait, wasn't it like 20 billion or
It was
90
more. It
billion?
was
Johnny
fucking
Harris did not
so
say
much
it was
money.
free.
And like the best thing is like we just paid all this money and then
For free.
for free. Thank you.
Don't
Well, you
And
get
you
to-
get to use it. So
Yeah.
I should
that's
get
brilliant.
to
That's
drive
I
the
love
nuclear
that.
submarine.
You
Okay,
could.
you know what? I agree with that.
No, you could. As a tax-paying Australian citizen, yes, you have the rights
Yes.
to drive that submarine.
Join the Navy.
Yeah, dude.
That would make things. That would
okay.
also improve.
Yes, we paid money for them. Yes, we are getting the technology to service, maintain, build, and operate them. We didn't just buy nuclear submarines. We bought the ability to make more domestically. You fucking numbskulls.
Prove, military spending on U.S. toys.
Yep.
Because everyone would be like, "Well, I want to ride the fucking submarine."
Yeah.
Everyone who's in Australia can
At
ride
least
the
let me
submarine.
shoot a torpedo out of a nuclear
You
submarine.
could.
Wait, what do you reckon he's referring to when he says free?
Well, maybe we'll find out.
He didn't say
Or
free.
he just said it and he,
He
moved
said
on.
giving.
To our most powerful weapons, take them, foreign country. And then
No!
the U.S. and
Wait,
UK
pause
will
as well.
No, he never said free. He said it's
It
a
was a
big deal
part
to
of-
give them
It was a
nuclear
part
stuff.
of AUKUS.
It's
It was a
big
part of the deal.
to hand
Yes.
over our weapons technology.
It's a massive deal.
submarines.
We paid an insane amount of money, like
Really,
crazy
to
billions of
Australia.
dollars.
Here,
for
It
this.
doesn't
Here are the
matter.
designs to
But then it's also just funny because with the big ceremony, fucking
That's so weird.
368 billion.
He never said
Just-
free.
dude.
But then also like at the ceremony,
It's like paying for a really expensive gun and then being like, now you have to shoot the guy,
Yeah.
the next guy.
now
that
go
comes
go
in.
kill Chinese people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Welcome
it's
to
like
America,
giving
buddy.
someone high
Club
tech
Aussies from a
weaponry and then
Canadian.
giving
Yeah.
them the schematics
Dude,
along
it's
with
so
it.
crazy. They
you
just
fucking
these nuclear
idiots.
submarines just fell off the back of a pickup truck. That's why they were. That's why they're so mint and so
They're
cheap.
being made
our
here.
most powerful weapons.
To the block
Take
of
Why is China even remotely worried about that? Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? They're just these are defensive.
This is a response
nuclear
to
weapons.
China.
on their border.
It's literally
Yeah,
because
what?
of
Like,
China we bought them.
so
we were
odd.
very
I don't know what
happy with
China's
the
doing.
French submarines. We were very happy with them, even though they would have been outdated by the time that we got them, built in France, not Australia. We would have had outdated submarines
They
that were
literally
brand new.
canceled that huge deal with France and pissed off France just because of China.
Yeah, literally, and all
And
also
then like the
fuck
nuclear
France.
bombers in the Northlands, right?
Yeah.
And like China's like, don't trigger an arms race. They're talking to
arms
Australia.
race. We're not getting nuclear weapons.
But yeah, China already has nuclear long range
Mhm.
bombers, so there is no arms race.
No, it's an equalization.
Yeah, they're trying to say, hey, don't start an arms race. What arms race?
And these idiots
Saber
would probably be
rattling.
like,
Yeah,
China's like the
this-
arms
No,
race."
yeah,
this is
that's
just a silent submarine just cruising around. No
Yeah.
noise, no rattling.
You can't see it. Shut up, China. It's under
Yeah.
the water. What do you
Australia
want?
defending their trade routes with China from China.
One of the nicest things for us about being part of an American client state is that it gives lots of opportunities for satire. It creates our jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very funny.
If America wasn't in control of Australia, man, what would we even? We'd have nothing.
Nothing.
I'd have to go back to working a normal job.
True.
Being
This is
carnies.
not funny
Yeah.
at all. Yeah, I know.
Australia is a sovereign state, guys.
Oh, it's not funny because it's very serious.
Depressing.
It's
It would probably be a lot better if America controlled Australia.
It probably would, honestly. It'd probably be a
It's,
much better place.
That's why it is funny.
it's Australian
Also,
foreign
fun
policy.
fact,
Not funny.
China owns as much, if not more now, land than America and Australia. So, yeah, it's American owned, my guys. That's
I mean,
definitely
it's
true.
pretty funny.
Crucially, we can be pretty damn certain that a lot of these submarines will be carrying nuclear weapons, adding yet another layer of deterring power. to
Not the
already
Australian
really
one.
Powerful line of defense. And if this wasn't enough,
Dude,
Similar to
this-
the ones that we already launched.
you
on
have to
particular
have
reason.
you have to have like you have to double up on the defense to
Yeah.
protect
Even
the
the nuclear bombs that are being hosted in Australia are only being hosted there in the dry season.
That's hilarious.
They're not even there the full year.
That's so funny.
For U.S. B-52 bombers up here in the Tyndall Air Base in northern Australia. These
more defensive weapons.
No,
They're
not even there to be used. They're there as a threat.
They're defensive bombers, and they are defensively deployed.
It's not even
on
defense or offense.
civilian
It's literally
territory.
You know what's so fucking annoying is that anytime there's like a proposition of making a nuclear reactor in Australia, massive petitions about it.
Everyone's like, no, they're going to destroy our country.
Yeah.
The sun in the water, dude. They're in the
the
water.
people here are
Come
fucking
on.
retarded.
Famously, nobody is anti-AUKUS in Australia.
No, of course not.
It's just
also what happened. Didn't we watch a Johnny Harris video a week ago and he wasn't that bad? He was kind of
it's a give and take. It's a give and take. If he does like one
What do you mean?
kind of
This isn't bad at all. He hasn't said that it's justified. He's warning people about military aggression in these islands. This is literally an anti-American video by Johnny Harris.
Is. Yeah, it literally is. He's saying that America is using their influence to arm the Pacific.
Yes.
That's pretty much the entire video. Look at the title. It says U.S. military is planning a war with China.
Do like 8 anti-China ones.
But also he does like irrelevant stuff like U.S. coups, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It's safe.
Shit that we've like declassified and flexed on openly.
Something the government says you're allowed to talk about now.
Yeah, we definitely flex on the banana wars openly.
Anyway, this is great. I think that the U.S. military is planning for a war with China. And then the entire video is like why these bases have to exist. And then he literally said it's great. It's
No, he
great.
didn't.
Now there's nuclear submarines.
He never
in the
said
sea.
that.
Literally never said it.
Yeah.
Come on.
They're just projecting.
More military hardware in the Pacific because of this. Hardware that carries the most powerful and dangerous weapons we have. This is a very aggressive signal to China that the West is ready.
See? He fucking nailed it.
So now,
he literally said aggressive. Aggressive.
Yeah.
He literally just said they are being aggressive.
He fucking nailed it. Johnny
if you look at the
nailed
whole
it.
thing, this whole chain, you see how robust this presence is.
Yes.
This is what that military official meant by transformative. The military name for this is the
We also have a video.
first island chain, and it is at the
'Cause
heart
this is for babies.
of the U.S. and
Even
its
these babies can't
Yes.
understand it.
to counter and contain China. And it's easy to see that this island chain, while protecting a lot of different interests for a lot of different countries, really centers on Taiwan. A major purpose for all of this militarization, the missiles,
to
the
defend
subs,
democracy in
the
Taiwan.
air bases, the troops, is to prepare for conflict in Taiwan. And this
No,
is where
it's
we get
to
to the
defend the
paradox of
microchips.
deterrence. You prepare to fight so that you don't have to fight. All of this preparation might be just what is needed for China to decide that it would be too costly to invade Taiwan. But
Yeah, dude, totally. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Johnny Harris isn't even making that argument.
No, he's putting he's wearing the shoes of the military.
Yes.
At this point, that's what this perspective is, right? This is how military people think. We need bigger stick. That's literally what it is.
He said this is where you get the paradox of deterrences, and then was explaining what the paradox of deterrence is.
Yes. Hold on. Like, China is a bully, right? How do you deal with bullies? You beat them the fuck up. Right?
Exactly, you stand
the
up to
military.
them.
Yeah, right? And that's what this is.
You don't necessarily have to beat them up; just stand up to them.
And dollars, which is what, like $10 US
Yeah.
that were spent on the nuclear submarines, so you could deter China from invading what the United States government, not me, the United States government claims is just more China. Okay, that's not me saying it.
No.
That's Anthony motherfucking Blinken saying it. Okay, that's what every American State Department
And what did
official
the president say though about Taiwan being invaded specifically, and what he'd do? He just said yes.
Did he?
He goes, "What about, would you defend Taiwan or the conflict of Taiwan?" And Joe Biden just goes, "Yes." And the reporter clarifies his question, and Joe Biden again says, "Yes."
Other side of that paradox is that all of this looks an awful lot like overt escalation in a conflict. If you're China, this chain of islands is clearly your enemy trying to box you in to monitor your every move. A superpower from the other side of the world flooding
Whoa, crazy. He's giving China's perspective now, too.
your region with more military hardware to stop your influence.
Yeah.
It would be impossible
and they're
for
just
this
like,
plan.
unquestioning, yeah. They're not seeing that he's presenting both sides at all.
Of course not. They're shallow. Like their point of view is shallow.
Well, you don't understand. They went to North Korea.
Tensions between the two superpowers.
To contain Beijing.
Where are they trying to go?
No,
what are you talking about?
dude. I'm so glad that these
Where
guys are
are
here
they
to
trying
contain
to go
Beijing.
is the question that he asked.
95% of those weapons on Japanese arms are American.
Yeah. Shit take us on. Arrogant and ignorant. No,
Yeah.
you're right. Beijing needs
Based.
to be contained. That's why it's perfectly valid for.
That's such a modest and not arrogant take.
Yeah,
You're a
I'm
modest
so.
man.
No, I think like the only good take in the situation is if you say China are a bunch of genocidal.
It's so cool that his audience continually comes to the realization that they should just stop listening to him.
But they
And he
continue to watch him.
And he dismisses them constantly whenever they do that. I hope these people have a growth moment and realize that they should stop listening to this fucking idiot.
And then they can come watch us. Deconstruct him, and then they'll agree with everything that we say.
They need to defend democracy against
Nobody
Chinese
said that.
anti-democratic interests. Have to do so by.
If they said defend Taiwan's democracy, they would say it the same way that they would say defending Saudi Arabia. If it's a democratic system, they'll say it's defending democracy, but it's not that.
Purchasing metric tons of U.S. munitions
and nukes,
and
Nobody's
even
buying nukes.
nuclear submarines. Like you got to do that. That's a
You
thing that
cannot
you
buy a
have to
nuke.
do. Thank God.
No.
I hope everyone can take a deep
And the
breath at
nuclear
top of the
weapons
hour
in
and
Australia
recognize that
are
I am,
American, operated by Americans with American equipment. They're just sitting in Australia. It's not Australian nuclear weapons. Australia is not a nuclear armed country, nor will they ever be. Like this assertion that they
still
that
pro-America.
because America puts nukes there and because we're getting nuclear submarines that we are now a nuclear country. Like fuck you.
all the way.
And modest.
Okay. And modest and not arrogant. Finally. Finally, a non-arrogant take.
Also, just the nukes, so overkill. Like,
come on.
What the only use of the nuke is to blow up everything,
a city,
the entire city.
No, first of all, these are nuclear.
No, the entire point of a nuke is to be a bomb.
And the only viable use of a nuclear weapon is a naval battle.
Well, it depends with the escalation ladder. Would we get to a point where we would be indiscriminately bombing civilians again, like in World War II? And what would it take to get there? What would the world be shaped like when it got to that point already?
Well, it would have to get pretty bad. I mean, it got pretty bad the first time.
Yeah.
Nuclear-powered submarines.
Oh.
That means they can be underwater for, months on end. Okay. Secondly, even if they had nuclear warheads in the submarines, let's say.
Do people not realize World War II was the lowest point in history for the entire fucking world?
Mm-hmm. I don't think so. I don't think they do.
All of human existence, the worst it got was World War II, collectively.
Mm-hmm.
There might have been bad things that have happened throughout the world, like slavery, genocide.
They maybe. I mean, that stuff is classified. Who knows?
Yep.
Who knows if they have nuclear-powered submarines with nuclear warheads in them? They might. But even then,
point. That's the point. Not even putting the nukes there, but just being like, they could have them. That's the point of a nuclear threat.
Yep.
I present you with the alternative. It's a defensive nuke.
Yeah.
Yes.
You shoot the nuke at another nuke in the air, and then it
because just let China have
The
Taiwan.
defensive nuke is the nuclear threat.
Yeah.
And even that can be offensive. Look at Putin.
We are not going to get nuclear fucking ballistic cruise missiles for those submarines. That's not happening ever. That'll never happen. That'll never be allowed by the Australian public, and I don't think the Australian politicians would allow that either. Now, the entire point, from what I can gather, of this deterrent is to have these submarines around the Pacific Ocean patrolling, making sure China doesn't fuck around, right? So, if China doesn't know which ones have nuclear missiles on them, they're not going to touch them. And if they don't know, they're not going to fuck around because they do not want to find out. Because if they find out, that's a very bad time. That's
Who
what
amongst
it is.
us does not need a couple spare nuclear warheads in a submarine?
It's nice.
Yeah.
I do feel safer. That's the one thing as an Australian. I feel like war is less likely in my country now that we have American bases and nukes.
Definitely.
I think the funniest part of this entire equation is that none of this shit matters. And do
you think that a government would do something to make war more likely inside their own country?
The only thing that matters is trade. And every single country in this region, especially the United States of America and Australia, have incredible trade partnerships with China.
Yes,
it's like their economy is reliant on Chinese manufacturing, and the Chinese economy is also
almost like that's more of a reason not to start shit with China.
Reliant
we're
on
getting
US
Virginia
purchases.
class submarines, which are a different nuclear powered class. So the Ohio, Virginia, and Los Angeles submarines are America's nuclear fleet.
First boat commissioned of the Virginia was 1999.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio is 1976. So the Virginias are much newer. Much newer.
Yeah.
So the Ohio are in
okay. They're the actual submarines.
And the Columbia hasn't been built yet.
Okay.
They're an upcoming class of nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines designed to replace the Ohio class. So those 12 are the ones that are going to replace the remaining Ohio class subs.
Yes.
That make up for the count.
So 66 Virginia are planned plus 8 for Australia. So the French have nuclear submarines and they were selling us their garbage fucking diesel ones.
Nobody even uses diesel now.
And Australian purchases and vice versa. So ultimately, all of this shit is dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Anyway, isn't the claim Taiwan is more China optics to make China happy?
Yes.
No, it's not optics to make China happy. It's
yes, it
just
is.
What they consider to be the truth, which they
no, it isn't.
legitimately have always just been like, yeah, we're just gonna say that, but we're gonna keep beefing up the island so that we can eventually use it as a fucking as a weapon against China. There's no optics in that situation.
You're an idiot.
It's called lying. Or if you're in the US government, it's called strategic ambiguity, which is another word for lying. Okay, that's what it is. And it's not like they lie
because
about
they
this.
never
They
saw
openly
Taiwan as
state it.
China.
Like I said, they just rename lying and say it's strategic ambiguity. Okay. Anyway, I forgot to run the top of the hour ad break, by the way, which comes at the top of the hour every hour. Oh shit, the food is here, by the way.
Okay, end this shit. Fuck these
Not the best source.
So long, Bowser.